complex on the men's track.
Won the team's Triple Crown, leading the Lions with a 360.
Both were named first team All-Southland Conference.
Southeastern, a winning season.
Hustling and making a play.
14-0 against Alcazar. In soccer, the defending Southland
Season off with a 3-game shot.
Hello everyone and welcome to Lion Tracks. I'm John Sartori, joined today by Southeastern head tennis coach, Coach Jason Hayes. Coach, thanks for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me on.
A lot of momentum that you're carrying from a very successful spring last year into this fall season. Talk about the momentum that you're carrying into this fall season.
Well, the good thing is we returned a lot of girls that played last year, and we kind of had a little bad taste in our mouth from the conference tournament. We felt like we could have won the first round match that we played. And it just kind of inspired them to really work hard over the summer, and they've come back with a great attitude, and it's carried over to our new players, and we're excited. We have great practices. We had a great first event up in Monroe, and everything's going good, and we're looking forward to getting back on the court.
You talk about those new players. One of the players that you do not have returning is the reigning Southland Conference Player of the Year, Renee Burglary. Talk about the impact that she has had on those players that are returning for you.
Well, I think one thing is that she set such a standard as just not just how to be on court or in the classroom, but how she led. And the rest of the girls have absorbed everything that she's taught. And, we'll never be able to replace her on court. But hopefully the girls will kind of all raise their level a little bit, and maybe we can make up for it or her loss overall. But as far as a player goes and a leader, I mean, she'll go down in history as one of the best ever.
Obviously, having new faces step up for you. You talk about those players returning. Spotlight a few of those players that you're really looking for to carry your team, hopefully to a Southland Conference championship.
Well, Danny Rygatis is probably going to at least start the year in the #1 position. Junior, really good player. We had two girls that were transfers that came in last year that played good but struggled a little bit, but they had a great summer. They've had a great fall so far, and that's Delina Dahlmans and Cecilia Mercer. Lucia Bustamante is a junior. We're expecting good things for her because anytime we can get her in the top part of the lineup, her game just rises a little bit more, playing against that extra level of competition. But even Medina Vortinikova and Natalie Durant have had good years, and they've worked real hard. So, I mean, we feel real good about the team we have, and we're hoping that things work out good for us. But they have the best attitude, and they're such a pleasure to coach.
To the casual Lion fan, to see Villarreal graduating, there was definitely some question marks heading into the fall. But after that showing up at ULM, there's a little more certainty about what's happening. Talk about how that showing is going to carry you into the rest of the
Well, we hope
semester.
it does. And like I said, as far as from a coach standpoint, I've got the best job there is. These girls are self-motivated. They work hard. The two new girls that have come in as freshmen are doing great. We have another girl that transferred in, Fleur Holtkamp. She transferred from the University of Charlotte. She's teamed with Delina Dahlmans to win the doubles tournament in Monroe. And then our freshman, Sarah Utinger from Germany, and Yasmin Taylor from Zachary, Louisiana, are actually doing real well. And like I said, I mean, we're really hoping that things go good. They're working so hard. I mean, I'd have to give them an A+ as far as being coachable and effort. And, when you work that hard, it will translate into wins. We're just not sure, when it will and against who. But as far as an attitude goes, we couldn't be better off.
Talk about freshmen, obviously, due to the recruiting process. As many people know, tennis, a very international sport. Talk about that recruiting process, getting those international students here to Hammond, Louisiana.
Well, I think one thing that people don't understand is that tennis is the third most played sport in the world, and it is massive almost everywhere outside of the United States. I mean, it's big in the United States, but it's so much larger everywhere in the world. And the United States is still the place you want to go if you have a chance. And these girls work hard. I mean, they learn English from an early age. Their grades are spectacular. Their test scores are unbelievable. They understand what this opportunity is for them to come over, and they come over with the right attitude. And for us, it's important that not only we just don't look for who's a good tennis player. They've got to be a good fit, a good person, and be able to take their academics seriously. Because as good as a coach as I think I am, I'm probably not going to turn anybody into a top professional. So if they come here, their education has to be the first and most important thing.
When you talk about how many international players you do recruit, you talk about you have a player from Zachary, Louisiana. How
Right.
nice is it to get a local product like that?
It's nice, and she's fantastic. She's done everything that we've asked, and sometimes she's head may go a little underwater, and sometimes, but she's always got a smile on her face. Last week was her first road trip with everybody, and she's one of the group, and I see her with the girls, outside of tennis and things like that, and it's fantastic, and we couldn't be any happier with how she's responded.
When you have every year, you lose players, you gain new players. Is there anything that you do as a coaching staff to try to implement a team system, try to get those international players and those American players to kind of gel, because they do come from such different backgrounds?
I think the one thing they have in common is tennis, and that's their one love. And it starts with personality, and we were fortunate. We've had so many good leaders over the years, and it's about that person who is the team captain to get everybody together, to get them to do stuff, whether it's, hey, we're going to get together and have dinner, or we're going to go to the movies, or we're going to do whatever. It's to understand that, to build that team aspect and to treat it like a family. And I think that's one of the things we have going. And, Renee did such a great job with that. And before her, Adriana, and then before her, Issa, the two captains we had before Renee. And now it's Danny Rigatis. And we couldn't be happier with how they are. And like I said, as a coach, it makes my job so nice.
September 30th, as we get back into looking at the schedule, September 30th, you head up to Lafayette, Louisiana. After the strong showing in Monroe, what are your expectations heading into that tournament?
Well, we tell them that we're working on some things to be a little more aggressive on court, and the girls that have been in the system for a couple years, now we're trying to, kind of let the reins go, let them have a little more freedom on court to go for some shots. And we told them when we went to Monroe, I don't care if you win one match, I want to see you take chances, I want to see you do the things we work on, and it worked so well. At Monroe, we've actually put some more stuff in these last 2 weeks to let them be a little more aggressive. And once again, we're looking for that courage. If you can try something that may not work in practice, no big deal. You feed the next ball, you play the next point. But in a tournament, you lose that point. And you may end up losing the game or even the match because you tried that. But if you don't have the courage to go for it when it really matters, then you're not going to grow as a player. And we just want them to, take a few more chances and understand that, if you do that, you may miss. But if you miss, it's okay, because no matter what we do in the fall, we're going to start every conference match in the spring 0-0.
As you look to the rest of the fall, kind of backtrack a little bit. So far, you've only played, as we said, one match up at Monroe. But before the season, what are your expectations for the fall, and have you surpassed them? Have you regressed? What do you see now?
No, I couldn't be happier where we're at now. I think we're way ahead of my expectations. And that has to do with the group. It has to do with how hard they work, their attitude. And, a positive attitude is contagious, and, inspires one person to do good and the next one. And we just want to see them take those chances, grow as a player, and hopefully it'll translate into success. And if it doesn't, they need to understand why it didn't and how to make it work for them the next time. But I'm looking forward to every time we go on the court, because they beat each other up in practice, and it's so nice to look across the net at a tournament and not play one of your teammates. So they're looking forward to it.
When you look ahead to the end of the fall, where do you need your team to improve the most as you head into the spring?
Well, I mean, that's almost a tournament by tournament evaluation. And the things that we didn't do well in Monroe, we are doing so much better now. And it kind of depends on, it's kind of like, you know, you got to eat what's on your plate. And if we do well in Lafayette, we'll put more on their plate. But I couldn't be happy where they're at. And we'd like to see them develop as much of an offensive style as possible, because our current philosophy now is to play a little more defensively in singles, and we kind of let them go and let them see what they can do, because most of the girls have been in the system for 2 years. They've kind of mastered what we've, you know, tried to work with. So now it's kind of like, you know, let's go out there and try to go for a little bit more.
You talked about it, I believe, first question. You talk about you kind of have a sour taste in your mouth from the Southern Conference tournament last year, first round exit. For those players returning, how do you kind of get their mindset going to say that we can be even better, we can surpass that performance that we had last year?
Oh, I have no problem bringing their past up when I need them to get it done. And sometimes they'll shoot me that look that I can't believe you're saying that, but they know that I'm saying it for a reason. And you know, this group is so self-motivated. They know the chance we had, and it just got away from us. And it got away from us because Northwestern State's a great tennis program. And, you know, it wasn't that we choked it, they took it from us. And, but we're not going to let that happen again. And I think that this group is ready, and they're going to go out and fight for every single point. As
you head into the spring, just looking at your team right now, looking at where you are, what are your expectations for the spring? Do you think this team can compete for that Southern Conference championship?
Probably not. But our goal is we're going to have this group for 2 years. And that's what we said, is that we want to learn as much as we can this year and probably make a shot at it when they're seniors. But I wouldn't count anything out. And, you know, I only know what we have. And I don't really know what all the other teams have, and we won't know until spring. So there may be a team that's better than us, and that's why our new, more aggressive philosophy may help beat that team, because a better player is just not going to make that many mistakes to allow them to lose. So we're going to have to take points from them, and that's what we're trying to do. And one day it may work, and one day it may not. And, to get into the conference tournament, it's 3 brutal matches in 3 days. So our fitness has got to be the best it's ever been. We need to be more aggressive than we've ever been, and we're going to need to be lucky, you know, more luckier than we've ever been as well. But this group's positive. They work hard, and hope they don't see the part where I just said I don't think we will, but we can probably edit that out. But ask me that 2 months from now, it may be a different answer.
Yes, sir. Building for the future. Thanks for joining us, Coach.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it.
The Lady Lions will return to the court September 30th up in Lafayette, Louisiana against Louisiana Lafayette. When we return, we'll have the head volleyball coach, Jim Smoot, on the desk right here on Lion Tracks.
The Southeastern channel offers a lot for sports fans.
Coaches shows, interviews with student athletes.
Football games, baseball games, basketball games.
I enjoy watching the coaches' insight programs after on Lion Tracks, because it does give our fans an insight of what happened during the game.
I enjoy watching the big game. You know, it gives me an opportunity to keep up with Southeastern athletics on a weekly basis. You know, not just football, baseball, basketball, but even the smaller sports, you know, like soccer and volleyball.
One of the things I've enjoyed most through the years watching is the production of the glory years.
It's a history, it's a documentation of where we've come from around here.
Solidified the reason why we brought Southeastern football back.
When the Southeastern channel replays games, it helps the students be able to catch up and see what's going on.
I like to watch the baseball games and the football games.
It's the only time I get to watch Southeastern football is I get to see it on television. I don't ever have time to go.
Even athletics can be an educational experience when you involve the Southeastern channel.
Welcome back to Lion Tracks. I'm John Sartori, joined now by Southeastern head volleyball coach, Coach Jim Smoot. Coach, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure.
We're just going to talk about the season as a whole. Over the off-season, you come off a 13-win season, a lot of momentum really in the program. So what were your preseason expectations of your club?
Well, I knew we were going to be an interesting mix of a lot of freshmen and 4 seniors and a few sophomores thrown into the mix. So we're kind of young, but we still have some experience. We knew our preseason was going to be really, really tough. Unfortunately, we didn't do as well as I expected, but I think it's prepared us well for the Southland Conference, which of course is the main emphasis.
against Southern, your first match of the season, you start the season with a win, and we really got to see some of that young talent on display. Of course, you lost the second game of that doubleheader, but again, we saw what the future of this program could be.
Yeah, there's obviously some very good freshman players. We have a lot of experience. We have Chloe Holden and Savannah Alcazar played on a team that won the 17 Open National Championship. So that's as high level as you can get in volleyball at the club level here in the United States. So we have girls with a lot of experience, even though they're young, and I think you can see the potential we have.
You went up to Mobile, Alabama to participate in the Jaguar Invitational. You didn't come away with a win in any of those games, but you kept them close against some quality competition up there.
Yeah, unfortunately we went 5 sets with South Alabama, and then we had half an hour and we played our next match. And don't think that was quite fair. We won the first set, we were winning the second, and we just kind of fizzled out. You know, it's just a lot of volleyball for one day. But we played some good teams. Both Florida A&M and Florida International had 10 foreign players on their roster. So we weren't expecting that. So they have a lot of girls with a lot of experience. But we still battled, and that's the important thing right now.
When you look at the schedule, up to that point, there was a lot of those 5-set losses, 4-set losses, things like that. What have you done as a coaching staff to try to close out matches? Because it's something you struggled with so far. Yeah,
and then against Lamar, we won in 5, and then last Saturday, we had 2 sets to 1, and we ended up losing in 5. So I think the main emphasis has to be sort of like Phil Jackson, the old Lakers coach. Yeah. His strength was getting them to be in the moment. That was his big saying. And I think younger players start looking at the scoreboard and thinking, oh, we got a pretty good lead here. Let's kind of ease up instead of just saying, no, each play is important as the ones way before the ones coming. So that's been a point of emphasis with us. Stay in the moment. Each play is just as important as any other, and don't worry about the scoreboard. That will take care of itself.
After that trip to Mobile in the Jaguar Invitational, you took a long road trip out to Utah, play Utah State among some other teams, and that was a really tough tournament for you guys. Only one match win throughout the tournament. So what did that do for your team in terms of a mentality standpoint? Yeah, we were battling the thought of, oh, we can't win, we're losers, and we're not. Unfortunately, that tournament, one of our setters, Alyssa Purcell, was sick the first day, and she didn't play. And we still played really well, especially against UC Riverside. And then the next day we played another tough team, and we knew it was going to be tough matches. I scheduled that way because I wanted to prepare our team for the Southland Conference. Just didn't think we'd only have one win before we started. You talk about those tough matches. It's undoubtedly the toughest stretch you had was up at the Stacey Clark Classic. You take on Purdue, who beat the number 4 team Kansas, who's also there. Talk about how that has prepared your team for the Southland Conference and why you scheduled that tournament. Well, that was kind of an interesting roundabout schedule. Actually, we thought we were going out to another tournament, and then that fell through very, very late, actually in the middle of the summer. And then the Purdue coach said, hey, why don't you come up here? We'll help you out with financially, so it won't be such a burden on you. And we knew Kansas, they were a Final Four team last year. We knew Purdue was really good, and Xavier is a really, really good team. So we knew that was going to be a battle, like I said. But we played well in stretches, really well against some of the top teams in the country. So I think the girls realized we just get consistent and we play at that level all the time. We can be very successful. After that tournament, the only win you had was the very first game of the year against Southern. And then you went right into Southland Conference play. So as you went into Southland Conference play, was the mentality kind of, we have a brand new season ahead of us? Yeah, we emphasized that we're 0-0. And we told them the only thing that matters, like I said previously, is the Southland Conference. And we knew Lamar was going to be strong. They've had some injuries. And they came out and actually had adjusted their lineup. They moved some of their middle blockers to the outside, put their bigger girls out there. So they played a lot better than they have been. This time, I think they finally got a win against UNO Saturday, but that was their first win of the season. Strong team. And so I think the girls have realized, yeah, we are in a new season.
nobody in this conference we can't beat. We just got to play our best and go after it.
After that long stretch playing all those tournaments, you also weren't at home, and you finally came home to play Lamar. It was a great crowd on hand for Dig the Lions, and you finally got that first win in what seemed like forever, and it was put you 1-0 in the conference. So what did that do for your team's mentality?
I think well, two things. I think they watched the game films of Lamar, and unfortunately I think they were taking them a little easy because they didn't look good. And I told them it's going to be tough. When they're young, they don't always buy into everything the coach says. They have to experience, unfortunately. You know, sort of like parenting. You can tell them, don't stick your finger in that socket. Okay, they do it. You go, I bet you won't do that again. So I think they learn from that, but they learn if they battle and just keep after it, they can get wins. And I think that's the level of the conference. We're all kind of similar. I don't think there's a super strong team in the conference this year, and I don't think there's a weak team.
You talk about a player like Savannah Alcazar who played at a very high level in high school, and obviously many of these players that you have on your roster now played at very high levels in high school, played on very good teams in high school. So when they come to Southeastern and you go on that long losing streak, how do you keep them focused to try to get wins in the South Conference?
Again, I think it's the process of play by play by play, and don't look at your win-loss. Don't look at what you've done. Don't look what's coming up ahead. You have to be focused, practice, improving as we go along. You know, it's such a team sport that it takes a while to gel. And a lot of the teams that we're playing have people who've been playing 2-3 years, maybe 4 years together, and they've been consistently starting. So we're still kind of working some of the team things out. So that's been a focus. And the other thing that's difficult too is girls who've come from that level and have been the stars. All of a sudden I'm pulling them out because they're not playing real great. They might lose a little confidence. And I had to say, look, everybody on this team was the star of their high school. They never got took out. So this is college volleyball. You're going to be out of the game some. Just don't let it freak you out. Get your head back into it, and we'll put you back in.
Saturday took on the Houston Baptist Huskies. In this conference, a lot of teams like yourselves go to play some of these power conferences, so to speak, and so they enter Southern Conference play with a losing record. Houston Baptist had a winning record entering that game, and you took them to 5 sets. So you don't like moral victories, but was that a moral victory for your team?
I think it was more of a moron defeat. No, I don't think so, because I think we felt we let one slip away. Now, Houston Baptist is perceived as one of the top teams in the conference. We're looking at the results, like you said, and everyone's saying, boy, they're probably right up there at the top. And we felt like, yeah, we let it slip away. I think, after we won the 3rd set to go up 2-1, I think the 4th set we kind of just relaxed. We kind of got a little bit of a lead, and then they came back hard. And once you give a team the momentum, it's hard to regain it. So, again, hopefully a lesson learned.
You took your team to the Southern Conference tournament last year. What do you think you need to improve on the most as a team in order to make a trip back to the tournament?
Right now, our blocking, and that's a very team function. You have to learn how to move with the person you're blocking with. So right now, it's starting to get there, but we still need a lot of work. Once you do that, then your defense around the block is so much easier to play because that's solid. So we need to work on that, and probably our hitting percentage. I know in college they use it's almost very similar to baseball. If you're hitting 300, it's great, but they do a thing where they have how many kills you got minus errors divided by attempts. We really don't look at that much. It's more like what a national team does. They look at, if you had 100 attempts, we want you to have at least 50 kills. So they just care about the percentage of kills you get compared to your attempts. Right now we're 27, 28%. That's not going to cut it. We need to get up closer to 50. So that's really a point of emphasis.
Just looking at your roster, you look at the roster and you think, wow, this team's really young. But you talk about, you do have some returning seniors who have been in the program for quite some time. What do they mean to your program as they try to keep morale up throughout what has been a really tough non-conference schedule for you as you look to get back to the Southern Conference tournament?
Yeah, that's very, very important. Unfortunately, we've had some injuries. Landry Bullock has some bad wheels, as we call it, knees, or it's just sort of something that she's battled her whole career. So she's not actually playing at her best right now. I expect that she will. We're trying to rest her as much as possible, and then doing some things to bring her around. Perry Hartley, unfortunately, has probably been our best outside hitter this season. She didn't get to play this weekend. The second match, because she sprained her ankle. And so that hurt us, but both of those are leaders, not only by their actions on the court, but off the court. And then Rachel Bunn and Maddie Odom, obviously, seniors. Rachel been here 4 years, Maddie a JC transfer, really contribute, I think, more by leading, and then encouraging and not letting the new players get down just because we have had some setbacks.
You talk about the Southland Conference being a new season, so to speak. You're 1-1 right now. Every home match is free. So you want to talk about how important it is to get that home support in the UC? Yeah,
it was really great on Thursday night. We had a really big crowd, and then Saturday not so much. And I know people say, well, we got a football game to go to and all that. Well, you had plenty of time to come on down. The other thing I like is I know people are coming in, they're kind of sitting pretty high up. I like everybody to get down as close to the court as possible. We had that, I think, Thursday. A bunch of the students came down, sat right on the court side seats, and that was great. That really helped. So I'd encourage everybody to do that. But I think in all sports, we need the student body to be there cheering them on. I know I try to go to every, softball, basketball, whatever, soccer, whatever is out there. I want to go and support our teams.
So you're 2-2 at home right now, but you are 0-4 on the road. So is there a certain part of your team that in a certain aspect that you're not playing well on the road, or what do you think is the reason that you can't get wins on the road right now?
Well, I think mainly we've played really tough teams. I think that's number one. Secondly, I don't think so, because these girls all come from club experience, and they travel all over the place. And so I think they're used to the travel. Again, I just think we just played a very, very tough schedule.
Finally, what are your expectations for the rest of the season, Coach?
Win every match. No, our main goal from the very beginning has been get to the Southland Conference and then win it so we can get that bid. And that goal is still just hanging out there in front of us. It's easy to grasp. Well, if we keep our focus on that, I think we'll be in fine shape.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for joining us, Coach.
Thank you.
Every home match for Southeastern Volleyball is completely free, so go out and support your Lady Lions. We want to thank Coach Jim Smoot for joining us, and we also want to thank Coach Lason Hayes for joining us earlier in the program. For more information on Lion Athletics, you can visit www.lionsports.net. Thanks for watching Lion Tracks. I'm John Sartori.